Hello and welcome to That Shooting Show. My name's Steve Anderson. I am your humble host. As you can see, I am basking in the sun behind the luxurious AndersonShooting.com logo. Look at that smiley face. How beautiful is that?
Oh, good job.
Isn't that amazing? They can't see Smelly Swamp or Smelly Lounge or anything of the sort. It's fantastic. And of course, we are still in South Africa. My name is Steve Anderson. I am your Laka host. We have a lot to talk about here today, but first, I got to let you know we are a proud service of Walther Firearms. We are currently working on getting the Walther Steel Frame Match PDP ultimate production gun here into South Africa, and that'll be available very soon for those of you in South Africa. For the rest of you, just go to the gun store, just give them some money, and just get the best gun ever made. It's super, super simple. It is the only gun that I'm aware of with a 30-day money-back guarantee. Are you guys aware of another company that does that with a firearm? Anybody ever heard of that
A
before?
money back guarantee?
Yeah, 30-day money-back guarantee.
I have not heard of one.
I have not either. Walther does that.
Good job.
And what they do is if you don't like it, if you say, oh, dearie me, I prefer my CZ with my light trigger strikes and my ADs that make ready. I don't like this. I want to go back. They give it to Jay Beal or me, and we make magic with it while you continue to be on the struggle bus.
Struggle bus.
That's just how it works.
The CZ struggle
The
bus.
CZ struggle bus. That's exactly right. Czechoslovakian struggle bus. And of course, also Targets USA manufactures the finest steel targetry on the planet. CR Speed, we have a care package coming, correct?
It's already arrived.
All right, so Joey and Jay
They're sorted.
are sorted, properly sorted. Oh, they'll be so chuffed. Joey will be stoked.
Yeah.
I'll be chuffed.
Chuffed.
I think.
Joey's young enough to be stoked.
If I say chuffed too many times, it starts to sound dirty.
Just because your mind's dirty.
You just be properly chuffed instead of repeatedly chuffed. Oops, I did it again. All right, let's see. Who else do we have? AMG-lab.com. Anderson timer, awesome, performed flawlessly, gives you great data. Those of you YouTubers can see where I cut my finger washing dishes. I'm so freakishly strong that I break everything I touch and it cuts me. Shooting Sports Innovations, Outdoor Dynamics. I think that's Hunter's HD Gold. We put Leonie in Hunter's HD Gold. She's wearing. Yeah, so here she is shooting iron sights, and she's, I would suspect 30% of her vision she's missing out on in traditional sunglasses.
I have to say it's Leonie.
Oh, sorry, Leonie. Wouldn't you say about 30% of vision is getting lost in regular dark sunglasses?
Sure.
It's a lot. It's a lot. We put her in those things, and of course she goes through the, oh, wow, this is too intense. And I say, just give it some time.
Yep.
Over time, you might grow to like the intensity, right? Just give it some time. And then she was self-conscious about her looks. And you assured her that
And she looked beautiful in those.
Yep.
You went one step above beautiful.
Yeah, she looked sexy.
Yeah, and of course that is Kita Busse. This is Kita Busse's last day in South Africa. She's going back to do Kita Busse things. I will be staying here to continue to do Steve Anderson things. But we're going to have a conversation today about my new obsession. So I go through these obsessions with shooting ideas. And my current one is ideas need to become tasks. So there's all these vague ideas floating around, and people continue to say these things, but they don't mean anything.
No, it's just words.
Right. For example, if Shanae says, straighten up the house, and I move the pillows around and the blankets and I call it good, in my mind, I've straightened up the house. But if you say, Steve, do the dishes, fold the laundry, and chop some tomatoes, now I have tasks with which I can comply.
And sometimes they get confused, right? If I ask Henny to sweep the house, and he takes out his AR-15 and he does a house clearance, it's not the same as sweeping the house.
Well, he has completed the task associated with his idea. That's my point.
That's exactly it, yeah.
Right. And communication is so much easier if we talk about tasks instead of ideas, right? Be nicer to me. That's an idea. Address me as your highness and end everything with please if it pleases you. That's a task, with which you will not comply.
No, I will not.
Well, not. So here's the first one. So here's an idea that typically does not have a task associated with it. Visual patience. Gosh, what a great idea. It's a fantastic idea. But what that turns into is slowing down. We saw that yesterday with Minette, Henny, right? And we're going to talk about her in a minute. We'll need your testimonial. I think Henny looks shell-shocked. Like he's at the 1,000-yard stare. How you feeling, buddy?
I'm better.
Yeah, better.
I'm good.
You're broken.
Yeah.
Broken. Kita Busse class, Steve Anderson, assistant instructor, head stage builder. You're a broken man, and you've done a fantastic job.
He just doesn't want to talk on the air.
Is that it?
Yeah.
You've got a great voice, and people love your accent. You don't like it either, but we can coax you out of once you forget we're recording, you'll be fine. So visual patience is the idea, but it doesn't mean anything to people. It's like world peace. What a great idea.
Great idea.
No tasks. We don't have any tasks with that. So, but if I see what I need to see for every shot I fire, if I'm shooting iron sights, that's a task. And iron sight shooters will do all of this defining. Oh, here I must see this. Here I must see that. Here I must see this. And they don't do any of it. But if they will commit to seeing what they need to see in competition, iron sight shooting is so easy.
For me, visual patience then becomes that 300th of a second, or how long does it take to actually acquire a proper sight picture or put the dot in the middle of the target?
That's because you're seeing what you need to see instead of employing visual patience. Yes, ma'am.
Well, visual patience is kind of like, well, it's not quite there. You make the tiny little adjustment before you take the shot.
Right, that's the task.
Right.
So the task is making the tiny adjustment before you make the shot.
Allow yourself that extra tenth or less, whatever it takes.
And it's not slowing down.
No.
It's simply
But if you don't do it, it could cost you 3 seconds.
Oh, I'd steal for sure.
You could have 3 seconds you could have used to make that up and still come out ahead.
We saw that with Manette. You didn't with Manette, the open shooter.
Mhm.
I implored her to put the dot in the middle of the target. We get to a stage with Steele, and she has 3 seconds worth of makeups. And I say, ma'am, pardon the question here. If you want a faster stage time, I'm pretty sure reducing 3 seconds of makeup shots will give you a faster stage time.
Right.
So you're going to invest 300s to get 3.
Right.
And people don't know that. So visual patience is a great idea. See what I need to see is a task. And iron sight shooters, you can learn this very easily. Take your iron sight gun, aim at something in the room. Mother-in-law picture is usually the preferred. You wouldn't have a picture of your ex-wife, but that would be awesome. So you know what people sometimes say in the States?
Huh?
They say, I still miss my ex-wife, but my aim is improving. Fantastic. And then, of course, center the dot, call the shot is the ultimate task for dot shooters. And you weren't in the class, and Henny won't talk, but I'll just tell you, It was astonishing. Stage 1, I need you guys to get a subconscious stage plan, positive imprints, center the dot. And they had misses and deltas and all sorts of problems. I said, let's go try this again. Because remember, if I say it once, it's important. If I say it twice, it's critical. If I say it 3 times, I think you're not getting it. Okay. So I tell them twice, which means it's critical. And second stage was a little bit better, but I can tell they're still pushing speed. So then I say, hey, the conscious control of speed in competition is always going to be an error. It's like driving in a traffic jam. If you consciously pick a speed, you're always going to be wrong. If you say, I must now drive 18 kilometers per kiloliter, that's going to be wrong. It'll be too slow sometimes, too fast other times. And then what we need to do is commit to centering the dot and calling the shot. It's so fantastic. We saw stage times plummet, points go up, joy was had. Here's another one. What you need to do is shoot your game. What a fantastic idea. What does it mean, Shanae?
Shoot your game.
You don't even know.
No, it's like.
Have you heard people say that, Kita?
Yeah, it just means shoot according to what you're very good at, and you're very good at this.
Is that a task or an idea?
Well, it's an idea when you say it like that.
Right. What's the task?
Shooting to your skills.
Is that a task or an idea?
That's a task.
Okay, good. So in my mind, that's still a little bit of an idea, but we're getting closer to a task.
Yeah, you're right.
Right. Oh, write that down. She agreed with me again. This is amazing. We're breaking new ground. So shoot your game is a great idea. What I'm going to tell you to do is get a subconscious stage plan with positive imprints and shoot with a singular focus. That's a task.
Shoot to your ability. You know what you're good at.
Yeah. So you know what you're good at, shoot to your ability. Some in my mind, those are still ideas. But if we say trust your skill, is that a task? Is that an idea?
That's more of an idea.
Okay, so what if we just take that out of the equation?
So I would say you know what you're capable of doing from your practice.
Okay.
You know what you excel at.
Maybe they don't. And most shooters don't because they don't think they're good at anything.
And then they go and they don't trust their abilities, and they would try to shoot somebody else's stage plan instead of allowing their subconscious to determine their stage plan.
Well, from your practice, you should know what you can do 10 out of 10 times,
Mhm.
8 out of 10 times, 5 out of 10 times.
That's an excellent point. So even if somebody maybe has a self-image that doesn't believe they're great at these things, They do know they can do them.
And what percentage of the time can you do it efficient or successfully?
Right. So what I think people need to do is not even think about technique
Mhm.
and get a subconscious stage plan, positive imprints, put the dot in the middle of the target. We saw that work so many times. Did you work with Dion?
Yes.
A couple of Dion's.
We got Dion's and Mo's everywhere, don't we?
Yeah.
So Dion, after our first stage, he was the guy that came over with Alicia.
Oh, that Dion.
Yeah. So after the first stage,
Dion with an E.
Yes.
sure,
Yes.
he had great points, great time. And I said, "How'd it go, Dion?" He goes, "Yeah, oh, not good, not good. My body is all herky jerky." And I'm like, "Dion, you're gonna go see Kita at the end of the day. She's gonna fix that.
Mhm.
I can't fix that between stage 1 and stage 2. I can't. It's not possible."
He can't
How
either.
were his hits?
Great,
They were good.
fantastic.
And he can't fix it between stage 1 and stage 2
That's
either.
my point.
Yes.
Nobody can.
Yes.
But if he continues to think about it,
Yes.
and if he tries to smooth down his gloriously fit, athletic body,
Mhm.
right, superior to Joey Sauerland's in every way,
Yeah.
if he tries to do that, he will no longer see what he needs to see. He will no longer put his dot in the middle of the target. Now he's got two problems.
Yes.
Now he's still herky jerky and he can't get anything. Okay.
Yeah, we sorted that out. All he had to do was get down low. He was standing up tall for everything.
And this is my favorite part about these classes, Kita. I have told you this at least 3 times, which means doesn't mean I think you're not getting it. It means I think the world's not getting it. Right? Come see Steve for the mental game and the shooty bits, and go let Kita handle everything else. It is so magical. Like I wanted to do that show again, but people just don't believe it. Like I wanted to call this show More Magic from South Africa, and maybe we will. But I'm telling you, the girl, you didn't even work with this girl. She ended up at a 7.5. She went from a 6'3" to a 7'5". We did the quiet eye speech.
Using your version of what you think the quiet eye is.
Correct. Which is barely scratching the surface.
Right.
Barely scratching the surface.
Just generalized concept.
And I told him that. Right. And 1.5 hit factors in 8 minutes.
Yeah, it's kind of like me talking about the mental game.
Yeah.
I'll scratch the surface and say, go see Steve.
Yeah.
Or trigger control, I'll scratch the surface and say, go see JJ.
That's exactly right. So here's another one. Get out of your head. What a great idea. What does that mean to you, Kita?
It means eliminate conscious thoughts and make it subconscious.
How do we eliminate conscious thought?
By programming through visualization or mental rehearsal.
So that covers stage play for sure. Right. And then, so eliminate conscious thought is another one that people simply can't do on demand. Now they can program a subconscious
Pick
stage
one
play.
thing.
There we go. Pick one thing. So let's give them something they can do.
Yeah.
Let's give them something they can do. Right. If you call me from stage 1 of the world shoot and I say, "Sinead, quit thinking," you're going to scream at me.
Yes.
But if I say, "Sinead, when do you shoot your best?" and you say, when this dot lifts, when the sight lifts in the middle, you're going to feel so much better.
It's like you telling me to calm down.
Ooh, I would never.
Oh, yeah.
I would never.
You never tell an upset woman to calm down.
I would never.
But it's the same as saying somebody to stop thinking or getting out of their own head.
Or you guys have both been around me when I've had panic attacks. You told me to breathe.
Mm-hmm.
You know better than to tell me to calm down.
Mm-hmm.
Calming down is a great idea.
Yep.
Breathing is a task that I can do.
Yep.
Right? All right. So you will not be able to get out of your own head, but what you can do is identify the correct things to think about before you shoot, while you shoot, after you shoot, and think about those things.
Yep.
And I think it's important to say in order.
Of course.
And also more like images and not words.
It depends what we're talking about. So if we're talking about stage plan, for sure, images and not words. But the conscious mind has to be occupied while we're shooting. Has to be. Otherwise, it's going to pick something. Otherwise, it'll, like the conscious mind is like Max the Rottweiler.
Yes.
If you give him a bone, he's good.
Yes.
But if you do not give that dog a bone, he will find something to do. So when you occupy the conscious mind, you've given your Rottweiler a bone.
Yeah, he'll jump in the pool and then climb on my lap.
Well, he woke me up with stinky dog kisses today.
Uh-huh.
It's so funny. This morning, I woke up to the Rottweiler licking
my
my
hair.
And then I woke up to Kita Busse clearing her throat outside my window doing her laundry. So I got lick. It's like, oh, must be time to get up. All right. So I must clear my mind. What a great idea. Can you clear your mind?
It's impossible.
Right. As a specific task, clearing your mind is impossible. And it drives people nuts.
Yeah.
Like if somebody has a bad day, if they're upset about something, oh, just don't think about it.
It's like
I
when you're trying
will-
to fall asleep and you've got all these thoughts going around in your head and you just can't switch off. And then the one thought goes into the next thought, goes into the next
Right.
thought. You can't consciously decide to stop thinking so you can sleep.
So I've studied that, and we'll come back to it. But I want you to make your point before you forget.
Yes, so if you are in the military or let's say a professional American football player, there is a literal line on the ground that you have to cross. And once you cross that line, you leave everything behind that's personal and only focus on the task at hand.
And that is choosing a different thought.
And it's actually a physical line,
Right.
and you can choose that for a match. So for some people, it's the instant they pull into the parking lot. Other people, it's when they go to the safe area and do their initial little dry fire.
You want to know what you just did? You just specifically identified the spot on the mental management flow chart that people have the most trouble with. And you learned it in the military.
I learned it in the military.
Pretty awesome. All right, so I must clear my mind is a great idea. The task is controlling what you are thinking about. Ooh, stop overthinking.
Yeah.
What a great idea. Yeah, oh, you want to talk about the sleep thing?
Yeah, so if I struggle to sleep and can't clear my thoughts
Because it's impossible.
because it's impossible, I will open my eyes and try to keep them open for as long as possible. And then that could result in me sleeping easier.
You want to know what you've done?
Uh-huh.
You've created you've created an occupation for your conscious mind.
Yep.
Sleep is a subconscious process.
Yes.
That's why we can't do it on demand.
Yes.
What I do is I pick one thing to think about until I get, this is not the right terminology because I'm just now saying it, but I pick one thing to think about that makes me really happy until I get bored.
Yeah.
And bored's not the right word. Maybe relaxed is better.
Relaxed, I think.
Disinterested,
Yes.
maybe. I'm no longer trying to fall asleep.
Mhm.
I'm thinking about one thing or one image that makes me really happy. And then I just go to sleep. Oh, we also left out alcohol and sleeping pills. Also highly effective, sometimes at the same time. Oh, I need to dry fire. What a great idea. But the problem is it doesn't have a task.
Yeah.
Now, what I want to tell you about that is that refinement and repetition contains the tasks. Okay, the book is back in stock. You see what I did there? A little sales pitch. You like that? Slid that right in there. Okay, so refinement repetition contains the tasks. I must dry fire is a great idea. Refinement repetition contains the tasks that you actually need to complete. Now, I will freely admit that that book was designed to make a grandmaster in primarily stand and shoot classifiers. I've never made any other claim than that. Literally, all you have to do is start the drill with the words while moving, and now you have a moving dry fire drill. It's so simple. Yeah. Now, one caveat needs to be made there. If you are shooting when you're not, if you're moving when you're not shooting, accuracy won't be super important when you're trying to get faster. If you are shooting while moving, I would not do that in speed mode ever. That's always match mode, because training your body to move really fast while you're shooting while moving and shooting bad shots, that's what people are doing. Yeah. And let's talk about that for a minute. We did an entire class on shooting while moving the day before.
Yes.
And you want to know the secret?
Get low enough to shock absorb your sights.
That is absolutely the secret technically. Continue.
Pivot on the muzzle, don't drag the shots as you're moving. So a lot of people will drag the gun across the targets as their body moves rather than pivoting on their front sight.
That's all excellent stuff. The real secret is letting them do it until they forget they're moving, and then magic occurs. Yes. When they forget they're moving, it's absolutely magical. And I find in that environment, now, if we were to put a speed component on it, which we would do in a truly advanced class, those things get a lot more important. But my goal in the initial shooting while moving class is to say, hey, when you forget you're moving, good shooting while moving, it's easy. It's so easy. So easy. And you made absolute magic with the three-legged dog, brand new horse pony. What was that guy? Bruce, the American looking guy with the American name. Yes. You made magic. What were those shoes? What in the world were those things?
The spongy running shoes.
And my issue was the soles extended an inch beyond the bottom of the shoe. Yes. That can't be good.
It's not designed to do what it was designed. It's running shoes. It's not shooting on the move shoes.
It's a stupid shoe.
Yeah.
And you made him take his shoes off.
I did.
You made him shoot while moving in his socks.
Yes.
That's amazing.
Another thing to keep in mind when shooting on the move is if you're taking these tiny little steps, you're not really getting anywhere and it jerks your sights around more. So then the shooting is harder and the moving is slower. So you have to really be making significant progress with your steps and
Make it worth
moving-
it.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly.
Right.
With more aggressive steps. And Alicia did awesome
Yes,
with
she
that in
did.
this class. She was taking these tiny little baby steps, trying to shoot on the move and standing up tall.
Yeah.
We got her sitting down low and taking more aggressive steps, shooting on the move. The shooting part got easier and the moving part got faster.
Oh,
Because she was shooting on the move with an idea instead of having a
a
task.
task, right? Right.
Yeah, we gave her tasks.
Yes.
Right. Isn't this great?
Mhm.
You've got to turn ideas into tasks. You've got to turn ideas into tasks. Okay. I am resisting with all of my might making this about life because my life is changing so rapidly and
This
I'm
is a
learning so
shooting,
much.
that shooting show, not that live show.
I'm telling you, the stuff I'm learning about life is more important. Okay, so because I've been studying shooting for 20 years. I've been studying life for 6 months.
Yeah.
I was stuck. Never mind. We will continue. Trust your skills. See, I changed the channel. I can't stop thinking about
Yes.
that, but I can change the channel. Trust your skills. What a great idea. What's the task?
Know what you can do. No.
That's an idea,
Idea.
in my opinion.
Yes. No,
So-
I don't know.
So I think the task is to think about sight picture and subconscious stage planning as opposed to technique.
Yes.
That will force me to trust my skills.
Yes.
So remember Dion, who was worried about the herky jerkiness of his body. Guess what happened on his next stage? It went away.
Yes.
It went away completely.
Because if you don't know what your skill, or you've been training and struggling and training and just going along, and then somebody says to you, oh, trust your skills.
So Kita Busse just got up when I wanted to ask her. Oh, I forgot what I was going to ask her. Herky jerkiness went away. Trust your skills, subconscious stage plan. I'll come back to it. All right. So trust your skills is the idea. The task is to focus on creating a subconscious stage plan with positive imprints
Yes.
and see what you need to see. Oh, that's what I was going to ask her. Remind me to ask her about human beings that can do things until you put a gun in their hand.
Oh, yeah.
Because she's brilliant on that. All right. This here's a speed stage. This here's an accuracy stage. What an interesting idea.
Isn't the score still divided or calculated the same?
I'm pretty sure it's still points per second.
Yes.
Like, I don't think you get an intensifier on speed stages and a reducifier on accuracy stages. Like, I don't think they score that differently.
No.
Now that you're back, I wanted you to talk a little bit, if you will, because you're being a little bit more chatty than normal during these podcasts. Human beings know how to move their body until you put a gun in their hand.
Mhm.
You want to talk about that?
Yeah, so
A little bit
Peter-
louder, if you would, please.
So Peter was in my private lessons and I actually took his gun away.
Mhm.
And then I had him race Leonie. And I think she actually beat him. So there were no guns. I just made him run because he was trying to consciously pump his arms. And the arms ended up doing these like little short movements instead of swinging through like you normally would when you run.
Yeah.
So I took away the gun and then had them just race. And as soon as they finished, I said, what were your arms doing? And he showed me. And I said, all right. And put the gun back in his hand and said, now do that with this in your hand. And he did.
Yeah, and so some of your stuff could simply be reduced to the simplicity of this is how athletes do this thing.
Mhm.
All you have to do is control the muzzle.
Yep. And we do that with our wrist instead of our elbow.
I love that so much. I was El Pollo Diablo, like I was
Mhm.
doing the crazy chicken. I was proud of it. And I didn't
Yeah,
know-
that's all people knew at the time
yeah,
until my book came out.
right. Amazing. Amazing. So a testament to the fact that people don't know how smart you are. I was talking to a guy yesterday in Florida. And by the way, if you're in Florida and you want to get into the greatest, most transformative pistol class ever, let me know because we have a class percolating in Florida that needs to percolate a little bit more. But this guy, he had to ask me how to spell your name. So not only does he not know how smart you are, he doesn't even know who you are. People need to know.
Okay.
We wrote the book. We literally wrote the book. All right. So you want to talk about speed stages versus accuracy stages? Or does that get too deep in the weeds on hit factor?
Well, it depends what you want to talk about.
So I think that's the idea. I think the task is see what you need to see at the dot in the middle of the target. It works on
Yeah.
both.
Well, it also comes down to makeup shots.
Yes, what are makeup shots worth?
Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've run the numbers. I don't think a human being ever has time to turn an observed Charlie when they see the hole into an alpha. And we see that a lot in South Africa.
No, I don't think it's worth making up Charlies.
Observed Charlies. Meaning, do you see the hole in the target
Oh.
or did you call it? And also making up Charlies in general. It's so much easier just to get an alpha the first time.
Right.
So much faster. All right, here's another vague idea. I need to shoot without thinking.
Can I go back?
Of course. What am I
So
doing? Oh, sorry.
I would say it's really important to consider the hit factor before you start the stage and decide before you start how many makeup shots you're allowed.
Oh, maybe the severity of the shot goes into play there too.
Sure.
You want to expand on that a little bit, or is that enough?
I think that's enough.
Okay.
You know, if it's a really high hit factor stage, you can, well, you're not gonna like this, but you can kind of absorb a mic.
Maybe.
Maybe. Yeah, it depends for sure.
But not if somebody is a quarter second, I can't absorb a mic.
Yeah, so let's say you know you had a mic, but you're shooting very, very fast. You're not gonna take that extra time to make it up on a super high hit factor stage.
What's a super high hit factor?
Especially going back on the target.
Yes. What's a
Right.
super high hit factor, Kita?
Let's say it's a 15.
Okay, you got a full second. So if it takes you longer than a second, you can't do it.
But if you passed it, that you can't get back in there.
If you physically have passed it with your body, absolutely not.
Yeah, another thing would be, let's say you're shooting falling out of position
Yeah.
and you get one shot on the target and have a malfunction.
Yep.
Now you have to clear that malfunction, maybe do a reload and get that other hit on, or you fall out and have to get back in.
Absolutely not.
Just take the mic.
Right. Now, I'm so glad you got there. I'm so glad because this clarifies something that I've been struggling with for so long. And that is this idea that I'm going to shoot radically different on a high hit factor. I've never bought into that. But what you're talking about makes so much more sense.
As long as you don't have an FTE, just take the mic.
Right. That's
If it's
exactly right.
going to cause a reload or cause you to have to get back in.
Right. And I'm sure as hell not going to be making up observed Charlies or Charlies in general. Doesn't mean I'm shooting them on purpose. It just means I'm not going to make them up.
Well, there shouldn't be any observed Charlies.
Right. That's exactly right. Okay. So shoot while thinking is the idea. It's not possible to do. You'll drive yourself nuts trying to shoot without thinking. What you can do is choose something to think about that allows access to subconscious skill. And without getting too deep in the weeds there, you can see on my tattoo here, self-image is always, you can be listening to Kita cuddling dogs in the background. Your self-image is always a filter for your subconscious skill, but we'll come back to that because we're getting off track. All right. Don't care about the results. What a great idea. Is that possible?
No.
Yeah,
You can go to the world shoot and not care about the results.
it depends on the level for sure.
Who could go to the world shoot and truly not care?
No, at the world shoot, there's so much invested, so it depends on the level of investment.
And they care a lot.
And some people will use a level 1 match as training for something. They're trying to apply something for the first time.
Of course.
Then you're not worried about the results. You're worried about actually doing the thing for the first time in a match.
Yeah, I love the clarification. So we care about the results, but we've just changed the definition of success.
That's fair.
The definition of success is doing the thing, and we're not so worried about the score.
Right.
Exactly. Excellent. So when it comes to not caring about results, I would say change what you care about. The results are always going to be a variable, therefore it's the wrong thing to focus on. The process is fixed, not variable, or should be, therefore it's the correct thing to care about. So you might have some exposure to this idea. Just do it.
Yeah.
What do you think about that? What a great idea. Just do it.
Do what?
Exactly. There isn't a task. And that's why, so that's not bad advice. That's phenomenal advice. If we know what the thing to do actually is, right? If just do it means just put the dot in the middle of the target with a subconscious stage plan, I love it.
Just run faster.
Yeah, just run faster. Just run faster. So just do it is a vague idea. The task there would be create a subconscious stage plan and shoot with a singular focus. Just do that. Oh,
So I see a lot of people teaching classes who say just run faster.
Yeah.
Whatever you have to do, just do that to run faster. Where I'm talking about, well, if you have an injury, of course, compensating for that. I'm talking about how to use your body so that you're not fighting it.
Yep.
And instead it's working with you.
Yeah.
Also using gravity to your advantage.
Right. Yeah. I mean, just run. Oh, so here we go. Just run faster is a great idea. You turn it into specific tasks.
Yes.
Oh, that's the science.
Yes.
That's your science
Use the mass of the gun to pull you out of the position.
as a task.
Yes.
This is outstanding. We just stumbled upon the science of Kita Busse in an unrelated podcast. She turns the tasks of moving faster. What a great idea. Sorry, the idea.
Yeah, just run faster.
Oh, that's going to be great for your stage plan and everything else,
Right?
because deciding to
now
run
now you're overrunning things and not controlling it.
faster.
Now we have tasks. Okay. You mentioned this is not super related to the topic, but you had this idea. Somebody told you if practice is not going well, you should just quit.
Yes.
And did you do that?
No, because if where I started out, it's a military shooting club. And when I got there and started training, they said to me, go shoot a 5-round group. And if you are not doing well, or if you're shaking a lot, or if you're not feeling well and you can't shoot a good group, you might not be in the right headspace to be training today. And then you should just stop.
What a terrible. So check this out. Human beings can control their headspace.
Exactly. Because now what happens if I quit every time I didn't feel well in practice? Now I arrive at a nationals and I'm not having a particularly great day, might have lady things going on or anything else in life going on. And now all of a sudden I don't know how to push through not feeling great and actually doing what I need to do.
Do you know
So
now?
scientifically, this is called desirable difficulties. It's desirable. It's desirable because you are adding difficulty to your training, which actually helps move things from short-term memory into long-term memory. It's kind of like, do you remember the day you shot a match and the weather was gorgeous?
Mm-hmm.
Or do you remember the day you shot in a torrential downpour with mud up to your knees?
I wore a wetsuit on that day on the range. So definitely remember
I
that.
always remember that match in Hungary where the mud was literally like in the outhouses, the mud went all the way up to the toilet seat.
Mm-hmm.
Create a squatty potty.
Pretty much, yeah.
And I love those. I had a nationals where I placed top 10 overall because it was a muddy surface and I was comfortable doing muddy surface things.
Of course.
And that gave me so much more confidence.
What we're really talking about is
Yeah.
controlling our thoughts.
So
that's what we're talking about.
But now I get shot in the head or ricocheted in the head on a level 4 nationals.
Like this one got shot in the ankle.
Yes. And all the medics want to do is take me to the hospital. And I'm saying, no, I will continue with my match.
I did the same thing.
Uh-huh.
Or you get people
And
that
It was stupid, but I did the same
Yes.
thing.
Let the record show that we are getting excellent advice from, and this is a broad generalization, so please don't take it the wrong way. Is that an idea or a task?
That's an idea.
Oh, we need to make it a task. We're getting excellent advice from B-class female shooters. And it is amazing advice. We turned it into a task. Good advice is good advice.
So somebody will not want to argue with the RO about a double or a scoring issue because they're thinking that it might turn into a conflict situation.
Sure.
And then
Do it politely.
Yeah.
and then they don't want to put themselves in a conflict situation because they think it might be impeding on their match, because they don't know how to deal with a conflict situation on the range.
That's an idea.
Yes.
The task is controlling your thoughts.
Is controlling your thoughts,
Right.
be polite, but
Task.
still fight for your
And
score.
also, at some point, you have to know when to let it go
Yes.
and that it's not worth it.
Exactly.
Right. Now, you mentioned desirable difficulty.
Yeah, so a desirable difficulty would be, okay, the forecast for this weekend for this major match is rain. And it's raining now. So if it's raining now, are you going to not practice in the rain?
Most people will not.
No, I'm going to practice in the rain because
Exactly.
now it's going to be so much easier. And I feel like I have an advantage when it's raining
So,
because I practice in the rain.
and science just became self-image.
Also, another good example would be if you shoot in cheap, but scratched up plastic glasses in your practice, and then you go to the match and you have your fancy Hunter's HD Gold where you can see everything. That is a huge difference. So then you feel like you have an advantage at the match.
Science just became self-image. right? So here's the difference. If that creates a positive thought of ability, it's great. If it produces a negative thought of ability, it's not so great. But that can be controlled.
Another desirable difficulty would be do not paint steel in your practice.
Right.
Let it be all shut up.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then you go to the match and it's all nice and freshly painted and you feel like you have an advantage. It feels easier.
I love that. We could do a whole podcast on that. Desirable difficulty. Amazing. So here's another one. Get faster. Gosh, what a great idea. That's an outstanding idea. The task is do specific things sooner.
Well, a lot of people come into the stage and think, go fast.
Mhm.
Instead of go fast, what are specific things I can do that will actually make me faster?
Tasks.
So if you just think go fast, now the wheels fall off.
And you will, but you will go fast.
You will,
Absolutely.
but
you
you're
will.
not going to hit anything.
Exactly. That's exactly right. Now, I was speaking more about training than competition in that example, but it's the exact same point, right? If a shooter wants to go faster, that shooter needs to become faster by doing specific things in training to build a faster athlete.
Right.
Your example is actually better because they want it more on match day than they do in training. They want to.
Yeah, you walk up to a speech stage and you think, go fast.
Yeah, and you will. You
You
absolutely will. That's fantastic. All right, find the fastest stage plan. What a great idea.
Oh, yes.
Do you want to go through your 11 points?
Not
Or just some
really,
of them?
but I will say sweet spots are bad.
Okay. Universally, 100%. Pretty dang close.
Pretty dang close,
Yeah.
yeah. So, for example, there's a stage at the PCC World Shoot coming up where you could cut your steps in half by walking up the middle, but now you're constantly having to stop and do wide transitions.
Right.
And the targets are farther away. Or you could run up the left, across the front, and down the right. And the targets are right in front of you, and you're shooting on the move almost the whole time.
Awesome. If you can do it.
So you're doubling the steps, but it's actually faster.
Yep, that's exactly right.
It's counterintuitive. Less steps is not always more.
And things at the top are always counterintuitive. If there's something we don't know about anything that we've studied a lot, the answer has to be counterintuitive.
Yeah, people think less is more, less steps is more. Sometimes more is less.
Less
More
time.
steps.
More steps is less time.
Yes.
Yeah, outstanding.
Because you're shooting on the move.
Right.
And it improves your accuracy going up to the
'Cause we're
target
closer to the
versus
targets.
staying back.
Yep.
And sweet spots, a lot of times you're stuck like shifting around and leaning and things like that. You're taking less steps, but the shooting part gets harder.
And the shifting and leaning takes time.
Yes, and I always advocate for dividing up the targets between positions versus taking more targets from one place.
Sure.
Because the more targets you're taking from that place, the more you're stuck in that position and
Yep.
you're not moving.
And you're not getting it into the stage.
But exactly,
Yeah.
so if you divide them up, now there's less dead time. Where if you take them all from the first position, let's say you have two positions, you take a whole bunch from the first position, a whole bunch from the second position. Now we have only dead time moving in between.
Mhm. Which 0 points per second. during
Right.
that time.
When you shoot a stage, it should sound like the shooting never stops.
Right. That's exactly right. Design your stage plan so that the shooting never stops. And what I wrote down here, find the fastest stage plan, is a fantastic idea. The task is minimize the time spent not shooting.
But people think the fastest stage plan is the least number of steps.
Right.
And that is not true.
That's an idea that doesn't have a task.
Right.
But the task then could become with the AMG Lab Commander and the practice score. That's so amazing
Sure.
because they give you those times in bold that's longer than a second.
The
If
big
you-
numbers are bold.
Yes, if you go compare that to maybe your stage video and you see what you were doing in those bold times, you can then identify with the task that you should be doing in training.
Right. So when I was ROing the match mode class and observing, anytime I heard I got nervous.
Mm-hmm.
But then my super stud with the half a beard and the shaved legs,
Corbin.
Corbin. When Corbin shot, I was talking about all these things, and I heard,
Yeah.
and I went, "That's gonna be good. That's gonna be good," and it was good. He was properly
every
chutzed
single time.
every single time. And oh, that reminds me, I did shoot hijinks in
Yes.
5 seconds
Just putting it out
With a
there.
bad ankle.
on my rapidly healing foot. I believe a GM time in open is like a 4.7, and I shot it in 5 with a borrowed canic in 5 seconds flat.
And half a foot.
Well, actually twice a foot.
Yeah.
Twice a foot
Double a foot.
with half the function. All right, let's hear another one. Oh, so this is a little bit related and a little bit unrelated, but in South Africa particularly, they want to go fast at matches and slow in practice. So they go to matches, they rush, try, hurry, they get marks and poor shots, and then they go to training and practice shooting alphas. It's backwards. It's completely backwards. Why don't they rush, try, hurry, and practice, and then go to the match and shoot alphas? Wouldn't that be smarter?
And then you get your access to your subconscious skill.
Exactly. What a great task. Oh, I wish you were there for most of that.
Yes.
Yes.
I was only missing for the last hour.
Oh, you had to feed the Kita. That's when you disappeared.
And I had to go assist the Kita with the 2 people.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You and him are doing such a great job. Such a great
I'm
job.
just the Kita.
Well, when you get hungry, you become the Kita.
I become the Kita. It's like the Hulk. I turn green and start smashing things.
You become white.
So, do you think that top shooters shoot 2 shots on one side picture all the time?
No. The
lot of people-
wannabes do.
A lot of people think that. In Brazil, they think that.
Ooh, a lot of people also think top shooters always shoot at their 100% because their score is 100%.
That's a thing they think?
Yeah, people think that.
That the score equals the effort?
Yeah,
Wow.
people think that.
And
Christian Seiler has to be shooting at 100% of his ability because his score was 100%.
and they think those numbers mean the same thing.
Yeah, they do.
And that means number 2 was only trying 98%.
Yeah.
So I would reframe that. Well, for start, we're getting too deep into the weeds. We got to stay on track here. Moving on. And I also know many shooters that think that top shooters don't see their sights. Do you have?
Yes. Yes. They can't possibly be
Can't.
seeing that fast.
Can't
Here's the
possibly.
funny thing. Everyone sees that fast. It just comes down to what you process. So everyone's eyes can process and can see that fast. It's just that you're not kind of connecting it with your brain and processing at that speed.
And if
yet.
they've never let their body do the thing as fast as their eyes can see it, they're stuck.
They'll never be able to see it that fast.
Right.
You kind of have to, in practice, go faster than you think you can go.
Is that speed mode practice?
Yes,
Brilliant.
absolutely. Yes.
Absolutely.
And then what happens is eventually your processing catches up to what your eyes are seeing.
Right.
Because your eyes can see that fast, and they do, but your mental processing is a little bit behind.
Your computer is slow.
Yeah, and it starts to catch up the more you do it. And then you realize, oh, I saw this. Oh, I saw that.
And from my perspective, if we evaluate accuracy during this process specifically, you lose the whole thing.
Yes.
You lose everything and you never get there.
Yeah.
We've got a
Did we invent speed mode practice at the same time, Kita?
There's a lizard.
She got distracted. Did we invent speed mode practice at the same time?
I don't know.
I think we did. Did you intentionally stop evaluating accuracies for a short period of time while you're working on movement?
Of course.
That's speed mode practice.
Yeah.
We invented it at the same time.
Yeah, I think so.
I think we did.
So for it to be relatable, specifically for South Africans, we've got a top shooter in production who's now moved over to standard, and he shoots phenomenally fast. And everybody would always go up to him after the match or during the match and say, "How do you shoot that fast?" And his go-to answer is always, "I see faster than you do."
That's an idea.
They see at the same speed.
Okay.
They process.
His words are though.
You
that
guys
Yeah.
continue talking about this. I'll be right back. I have a breathing problem I gotta go take care of.
he says that he sees faster, even though he processes the correct word for that he processes faster.
Yes.
But the message that he gives to the other people is actually encouraging them to start practicing, to seeing or processing these things faster by trying to do it faster in practice.
Yes.
But it's a good answer for me, for people to understand that he doesn't shoot on a double shots on one side picture or anything like that. He's seeing the things, even though he's processing it faster than they can.
Yes.
All right.
I had to make a conscious effort not to blow my nose on camera and a conscious effort not to throw the Kleenex on the dog food bin, which looks like a trash can. You had to learn that the first day.
Mhm.
Yes, Kita, the dog food bin is not a trash can. All
Yeah,
right.
I think I did. They were so polite to me that they never told me I was throwing trash in the dog food bin. I think it was maybe 4 days I was doing that, and they were just silently removing the trash from the dog food and not telling me I was doing the wrong thing.
I was doing the same thing. I found your most important piece of trash in the dog food bin. All right, so here's another one. This was your idea. Managing recoil. What a great idea. But there's no task.
Mhm.
What is the task?
Well, you can engage your lats.
Wow.
You can put your shoulders slightly forward of your hips. You can get in a wide athletic stance. If you're shooting a dot, you can rotate your elbows slightly down with a bend.
Tasks.
Yeah.
So amazing. And which of those are not specifically in either one of your classes, right? Those ideas for managing recoil?
I typically don't focus on fundamentals unless it's a private lesson. But in the class, we're talking about movement and vision and things like that.
And those things might come up, but they're not part of the scheduled curriculum.
Well, I will pause my class for a bit if there's something fundamental that everyone is struggling with and we can't move forward with movement until this is fixed.
Right.
Then I'll do a fundamental thing. Otherwise, I send them to Steve or Tim Herron
Okay.
or Sam Callahan.
Here's a great idea without a task. Put it behind you, let it go.
Let it go.
Let it go. So moms tend to know that song. There's a very famous song called Let It
Yes,
Go
from
from a
Frozen.
I don't know that
Let
song.
it go. Let it go. There's a whole song. I
Sing
think.
it, sing
No,
it.
no, I don't sing.
Can't come back anymore.
Sing it, ladies. Come on.
Uh-uh.
And then I'll counter it.
No,
No.
I don't want to sing.
I mean, you just did.
I know, but I stopped myself.
So I've never heard the song before.
Nobody wants to hear us sing.
No.
Just continue.
But let's assume it goes, let it go, let it go. Not possible. What a great idea. I'm going to say, hey, control your thoughts.
Mhm.
Do something productive. What do you need to do right now to be successful on the next stage?
I would
That's a
say
task.
sequence your thoughts.
Right. Sequence your
In
thoughts.
order, so you're not getting ahead or thinking about something you already did.
You just got into mental management again. The 3 phases of a task are anticipation, before, action, during, reinforcement, after.
Yeah, and then if you did do one of those things, yeah, the reinforcement,
Right.
And if
the
somebody
mental reshoot,
Yes.
as you would say.
if
Yes.
somebody didn't know how to let it go, the mental management class would 100% be able
Yeah,
to
it
teach
teaches you the steps.
Yes.
Right. The tasks
Yeah.
behind the idea. Nobody knows how to let it go.
I just sold the class. I just promoted your class.
Right. So think about a disappointed junior shooter at a major match. They can't let that go.
No.
Yeah, so for example, Gaz in our private lesson, Gaz missed the steal on the first run through the stage.
Mm-hmm.
The second run through the stage, I saw a delay as he was shooting the steal, so I knew he was still thinking about the first run through when he missed the steal.
Right.
Now, Gaz knows how to do this, but he didn't do it in that moment.
Right. Because of emotion.
He has the knowledge,
Mm-hmm.
he just didn't do it that one time.
Right.
So then I said, I know you know how to do this, so you tell me. And he told me, oh, I need to do the mental reshoot and just picture centering the dot so that he could let it go. He couldn't let go of that first steal miss.
Right. And you let it go by changing the memory from
Yes.
failure to success.
Yeah.
That's how you let it go. And by the way, the mental reshoot is the most magical part of the it's all
And
magical.
once he did that along with the movement, he took off 3.5 seconds from his stage.
You got 3.5 seconds off on the stage from a national champion.
Yes.
You do that routinely, don't you?
Yes.
Every single time, don't
Yes.
you? Magical. Magical. Oh, here's another idea. Stop thinking so much. Shanae, stop thinking so much.
It's impossible. I'm a genius.
So what that means is you have too many conscious thoughts when you
Uh-huh.
can only think of one thing consciously at a time.
Right. The task is choose the right thing to think about for what you're doing
The
right now.
lowest hanging fruit. What's the most important thing?
Right, the most important thing. Right, because lowest hanging fruit is an idea that I didn't understand.
Oh, that could be another one.
Right.
Low hanging fruit.
It's an
What
idea.
does that mean?
The task is find the biggest numbers in training and start reducing those times.
Yeah.
Excellent.
And for novices, it's very difficult for them because they are thinking about so many things at once.
They're just trying to remember all of the targets.
Which means they didn't get a subconscious stage plan.
But now they're trying to still work on their grip during matches and stuff like that.
Right.
Because
They're still trying, and also trying to find the sight picture, and their grip isn't right. And they're just trying to remember where all the targets are located so they don't miss anything.
Yeah.
Way too much thinking.
Way too much.
Yeah.
Right. Stay in the moment. To me, that's a task now.
Yes.
But that's a life thing for me, so we'll move on from there.
Well, that would be like Joe Draghi, for instance.
Oh, yes, it is a shooting thing.
Yeah, so I'll see he's in a shooting position and his right, let's say he's moving to the right, his right foot starts taking little steps, but he's still shooting, but he's thinking about moving to the next position. So his right foot starts just going, but he's still shooting that one array.
Right. He needs to stay in the moment and make the shot.
Yeah, he has gotten a lot better at that though.
And oftentimes then you will get a miss or an errant shot on your last shot on your exit because you're not in the moment. You're thinking about the next and not the now.
Right. And
that's how that's relatable to shooting.
And they got exactly what they wanted.
And that's actually why Gaz missed that steal the first run through, because he was thinking about the next target, which is shooting on the move. So he was already ahead to the shooting on the move versus thinking about the steal while he's shooting the steal. You have to be 100% in the moment thinking about the thing you're doing before you move on to the next one.
Exactly. Otherwise, you're next in when you should be now in.
Yeah.
Amazing. Okay, stay in the moment is covered. Okay, so here's an idea that doesn't have a task. I'll take a class to get better. What a great idea. But the task is I will go to this class to learn technical things and mental things, which I will then apply in training. Over time, I will get better.
Yeah.
So I actually will not do a technical class prior to an important competition. People used to think that was a great idea.
No,
and in the beginning, I didn't really know any better. Plus, I wanted to sell classes.
You can't be applying new things just before a major.
Exactly. But in the very beginning, 7 years ago, I hadn't made that full connection. But if someone wants to take a class to get better, that's fantastic. What they got to understand is there's some now things in this class, and then there's some training things in this class.
And next things.
Right. And you and I are smart enough to tell them the difference. They don't always believe us. They don't always apply it the way we ask them to. But I tell them very specifically, like wide transitions, for example, snapping your head on dot lift is a thing that needs to show up subconsciously. Because if you go to a match and try to do it, it won't work.
So for Faki, he was.
Spell that, please. Fakie. I just want to make the spelling very clear because you said it a certain way. Faki.
Faki. So he had the PCC in the pocket.
Yeah.
Which meant he was stuck blading, and he was also bringing his head to the PCC instead of the PCC up to his head. So he has a lot of major changes to make there that are not going to be subconscious, and he leaves for the world shoot today.
Right. So would you rather have him shoot that match with the gun in the wrong spot?
Yep.
Or consciously put it where it needs to
So
go?
I told him to shoot the match with the gun in the wrong spot.
Yep.
Because it's what he's been doing. It's subconscious. And then after the match, then he's going to get with Gaz, because Gaz is doing it correctly, and he's going to correct that after the match.
Exactly.
But I did give him some things he can do just in one day that will help him immensely in the match.
And I really hope he's smart enough to do that.
He knows.
Okay.
He knows. Yeah, he's very smart.
He's very smart.
He also has a nice car collection.
He's a Eugenius.
He also has a nice car collection, doesn't he?
He sure does.
He sure does.
Oh, that 57 Chevy about brought me to tears.
You checked the oil in your dream car.
I did.
And you got to go for a ride to 56, and I got to drive it. That was so amazing. Oh, by the way, I want to publicly thank everybody in South Africa. You have given us such an amazing trip. We have had the best time, the best food. As my mother would say, we had the best time.
I got to snuggle a turtle.
You got to snuggle? You want to talk about that?
And get pooped on.
So Kita Busse got to snuggle a turtle, and then the turtle took a dump on her. And you were so correct. You were like, oh, look at this.
And it was the biggest dump.
It was a huge, you're obsessed with food.
With turtle poop.
Well, I think all nurses are somewhat obsessed with poop.
All right, here's a great idea. Eliminating drag-ons, drag-offs, overswinging, and underswinging. What a great idea. That's a great idea. What's the task?
The task is, if you're shooting on the move, you need to pivot so the muzzle stays on target, the sights stay on target, but the back end of the gun can move with your body.
Okay.
So
What
the
if I'm
front
not?
end has to pivot.
What if I'm not shooting while moving? How do I eliminate it? Drag ons, drag offs, over swinging, under swinging.
You have to pick a spot visually before you shoot. During
Okay.
the walkthrough, pick a spot on every target.
So that will for sure do it in competition. In training, what I teach people to do is identify the beginning of sight lift. And then at the beginning of sight lift from a desirable spot on the target, we immediately snap to a small spot on the next one, and then we drive the gun to it in training. But that's something that if we go out,
You're talking about drag off to.
I'm talking about
specify.
both. But yes, that's primarily drag offs. Yes.
Yes.
If we see it lift, because people want to start the transition while the bullet's still in the barrel.
Right. Yes.
That doesn't work.
Yes. You have to wait until the sights begin to lift and then you can leave.
Exactly. And then
People are trying to leave before that.
with the bullet still in the barrel. It
Right.
doesn't work.
Otherwise, you get proper pooped.
You're obsessed with poop. Oh, but you're a mother, so you have to be.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
moms and nurses.
Yep.
Poop is important.
It's also important when you stop smoking because it's completely
It's
unpredictable.
also important, apparently, when you have a tortoise on your lap.
Yes, that's exactly right. All right, visual focus. What a great idea. You told me what the task is earlier. Do you remember what you told me?
No.
Visual focus is the idea.
Mhm.
The task is picking a spot.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. Now, people don't know so much about how smart you are and how wonderfully your mind works in the world of shooting. Would you like to talk about why you're such a PCC expert and how that came about, or is that private information?
That's kind of confidential.
Okay. So can we just say that you did a thing when PCC first came out?
Okay, so when PCC first came out, I went out into the desert for 3 days with some of our top PCC shooters to figure out what works, what doesn't matter either way.
Right. That's enough.
Yeah.
So let's call that a very high level experimentation where you figured out what works, what doesn't, and what doesn't matter. And that's a great way for me to go into salesman mode. What we can show you, Kita and I together at the same time or individually or however you want to do it, we can show you what works, what doesn't, and what doesn't matter. So I want to tell you one more time, if you want me and Kita to come do a class for you anywhere in the world at this stage, we can go anywhere. Email Steve at andersonshooting.com or 180firearmstraining@gmail.com. But the most important thing, if you want to do this, we must pick a date and there must be a serious level of commitment. Yes, ma'am.
So something that I've done is I think a lot of people don't understand this. Basically, I took what was already scientifically proven from other sports and applied it to shooting. How can we get as close to that as possible with a gun in our hands and a 180 we have to abide by?
Mhm.
How do we get there?
Right.
So I would have all these hypotheses of, okay, I think this could work, but I don't know. So then I was very, very lucky to have access to the top shooters in the world and have them test it and give me the numbers. So our sample size is not huge, but it's elite.
Ooh, I love that.
So all the top shooters would test it all the different ways, and
Yeah.
then we would figure out what works best.
And this is specifically why I quit doing video reviews and give them to you. Because I can look at a C-class shooter and see C-class shooter things that we should avoid. You can look at a C-class shooter and overlay in your mind a World Shoot Super Squatter.
Yeah. Yeah, for me, so I do all of it, but what I do the most is getting GMs to be national champions, world champions.
And I try to get C-class shooters to put the dot in the middle of the target.
But I have taken people from C class to national or world champion.
I've done the same thing.
And I think I have 9 or 10 countries where I have world champions.
Yeah,
So there might be more than one within the country.
Yeah,
So it's not 9 or 10 world champions, it's 9 or 10 countries.
I've got 4. 4 countries that have produced world champions, and countless, geez, the grandmasters I've produced, they actually changed the classifiers because I was producing too many grandmasters.
Yeah, and the funny thing for me is I was a coach before I ever shot a pistol.
I know, that's what people don't know.
And it wasn't my choice. I was just asked to do it. It was a weird situation.
Right. Is there anything else before we wrap up that people don't know about you that you wish they knew, or that you would like them to know?
Well, also, I'm not a competitor.
Right.
I'm a coach.
Right.
People don't know that.
And they assume that because you're not a competitor, you can't be a good coach. Doesn't that irritate you?
Well, you know, there are a lot of great coaches in the world who either never played the sport or never played it professionally, but they are the best coaches.
Right.
And it's weird that in every other sport that's happening, but in shooting, people can't accept it.
Right.
They can't accept that. Well, when I started coaching, I had never shot a pistol. I was looking at body movement and vision.
And hit factor.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yes.
It was so
So
funny.
eventually I did learn to shoot, but it was never about me or my shooting.
Right.
It was always about the coaching,
Right.
which is why I don't have any ambition to make Grandmaster or do that for myself, because I'm putting that effort into other people.
Right. And getting spectacular results.
Yes.
Spectacular results. It's and without dropping names or casting aspersions, a great shooter isn't always a great coach.
No.
That's true.
And that's because, especially in the mental game,
Mhm.
oh, there is so much terrible mental advice there from like really great shooters are giving abysmal mental game advice. Like it's the worst. So people come see me and they say, hey, I went to go see so-and-so
Mhm.
and I'm not shooting well in matches. And I'll say, I know exactly why.
All those great shooters that's trying to be coaches will demo how great they shoot in a class, as opposed to teaching the
Mhm.
students how to do that.
And then try to
Yeah,
force everybody to
there's
do it just like that.
I won't say his name, but there is one instructor who's a great shooter, a legend, and he will do his demo and then he'll say, "Oh, I can do that better." And he'll do it again, and then again, and then again to beat his own time. And then they're just standing there watching him shoot and not being taught.
They're watching him practice is what they're doing.
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah. So, you know, I always tell people, if you want to pay to watch me practice, I will gladly take your money and practice all you want to. But that's not what I do.
No. You
Right? That's
teach
not what we
people
do.
how to do that.
We turn average shooters who are laboring under ideas and we give them tasks.
Something else that I did that I learned a lot from and I've incorporated into my Train Smart class. So my Train Smart class is basically what I've done to make national and world champions. So it's kind of like how to train, set up your training plan, how to bring pressure to your practice, that sort of thing. And I learned something really interesting from Eric Rafael. So JJ, Eric, and I were all teaching classes. So they gave us a fast pass at a match in the Philippines
Mhm.
where we got to shoot and jump ahead of the squad. So every stage we came to, they would just put us first so we
Mhm.
could shoot through basically.
Yeah.
So because we were expected to be there teaching a class. So Eric Rafael and I were going up to these stages. Within 10 seconds, he already was ready to shoot. And at that time, I was only a C-class shooter. I didn't have that kind of experience. So this is another thing I've told Steve before is Eric has never shot a stage that he's never shot before.
I was hoping you would mention that. I love that.
So it's every stage you shoot, it has different components that you've always done before.
Mhm.
You're just, every stage is just putting them together in different formulas. So every stage he walked up to, he's seen those things before. I was less experienced, so I hadn't.
Right.
He had so much experience. There was nothing he saw he'd never seen before. It was just put together in different orders. So he could do it in 10 seconds. I could not.
Right. I mean, when you said do it in 10 seconds, you mean create a stage plan. in
Create
10
a stage
seconds.
plan and then shoot immediately.
Right.
And then he didn't want to be rude, so he was pushing me to do it quickly. And I'm from USPSA, where you come the day before, you walk all the stages, come up with your plan, then you get the walkthrough and cement the plan.
Right.
Like I'm used to having all this time. So he got to his 10 seconds and I hadn't even found all the targets yet. And I was like, I don't know how to do this. And I was so amazed at how he did that. So he forced me to get my stage plan down to 30 seconds. So by the end of the match, we had like 23 stages. Like it was a big match. And I had to get my time down to 30 seconds for my walkthroughs. The first one, I think I was 2 minutes, which for me was fast.
Right. Super fast.
Super fast. And I thought, as a C-class shooter, I'm doing pretty good at 2 minutes. And Eric's getting pissed at me. He's like, Kita, we're taking these people's time. We have to do this faster.
Oh, because you're inside of the squad.
Because we're jumping ahead of the squad, it was really rude to take 2 minutes.
Oh, I see. Sure.
So as we went on, I got faster and faster and faster. So then what happened after that match is I went back to the US. I went to a level 1 match and I gave myself 30 seconds to walk the stage. And that's all I got. Then I had to just visualize and be off the stage.
You mentioned something last
And now I can do it in 10 seconds thanks to Eric Raffel.
You mentioned something last night where you said, and I have been preaching this for so long and people refuse to do it. Once the stage is memorized, get off of it and do the mental rehearsal. You remember what you said last night about why that's so important?
Yeah, so a lot of people will continue to walk the stage physically. And that's like handicapping yourself almost.
I agree completely.
Because it's not in your head, you're physically seeing it. You have to look away or just see it in your head. And then you can check it to see if you missed something physically. Like physically check it. Did I miss anything? So it's kind of like quizzing yourself.
Yes.
So you do it in your head and say, okay, I'm going to check it physically and see if I missed something. And then you can make that correction if you did and do it again mentally until you're not missing anything.
And I would like to add, first of all, let's clarify a point. Every stage is a memory stage. However, there are stages that have more of a memory component to them. If that is the case, you absolutely must have the round count in your mental rehearsal. Must. That way, if it's 28 rounds and you're doing your mental rehearsal, you are getting to 28. And I would also add that if the bay allows it, if you can physically move around to approximate the stage movement the best you can, that's another layer of realism that really
like a
helps.
full speed walkthrough, or at least coming into a certain position at full speed.
Exactly, and you're sort of
and you might do it in parts,
right? And but you're using more space if the bay is big enough to
and then
physically
everyone
move
behind
your
you
body.
is waiting until you do it.
Well, I mean, I don't mean on the stage. I mean, go to the back of the bay and do the physical movements of the stage. I saw Max Michel
I
do
see
that.
what you mean.
Yeah, I watched Max Michel do that. I'd never seen it before.
Close your eyes while you're doing it, and then you bump into people because you
What's
your
fine.
Yeah.
So you find a place where you can do it because everybody else is over there goofing around. Just go off by yourself and close your eyes and approximate the physical movements to move your body. It doesn't need to be exact, but because the mind makes it real.
2 steps this way, 3 steps that way, coming in low and whatever else.
What's it going to feel?
I've always done that.
Me too.
So we go from what is it going to look like? Oh, Lanny Basham yelled at me. Yeah, so I get yelled at by Kita Busse. I get yelled at by Lanny Basham. Anytime I'm a little bit off, I get yelled at just a little bit, but always for my good, never for my detriment, as you said. And Lanny says, I don't like the term visualization. And I said, wait a minute. That's our sacred cow. And he slaughtered my sacred cow. He prefers mental rehearsal because there's more senses involved. If I'm actually moving my body, now I have 2 senses. Now I have vision and what would that move, I suppose?
Yeah, so when I'm watching someone visualize, when you have the hand on the gun, you're doing your last visualization. If I don't see their body shifting around, I know their visualization is not good. And that's where Lanny says that's a mental rehearsal.
He likes that a lot better. Yeah. So you could almost, right. So just we define that term, the self-image doesn't know the difference between a vivid rehearsal and an actual performance. So the more realistic we can make it, the more realistic the performance is.
Because then it's a rehearsal as opposed to just seeing it. You're kind of doing it at the same time, or you're manually doing it.
So you're feeling the way your body is going to move.
Jay Beal knows what his ammunition smells like in the rain. So he will actually mentally rehearse shooting in the rain.
Smell is an excellent trigger for long-term memory.
Really?
Yes, it's actually one of the best for long-term memory. So if you can associate a smell with a process,
Are we talking about poop again? Carry on. Carry on. I just couldn't resist.
well, Jeff Swerow, he keeps like a dryer sheet in his pocket,
Oh,
and he'll smell that before his stage because that good puts him in a good place mentally. It's like relaxing.
we should talk about Jeff Swerow and Gavin Butera's accomplishment, but we won't.
Right.
But one thing I wanted to add, Eric Graffel's ability to create a stage plan in 10 seconds. The reason he's able to do that from a mental management standpoint, his self-image knows he can shoot those arrays well. Knows he has, knows he can, knows he will. South African birds there. Bird noise. Go ahead. I don't want
Yeah,
you to lose your train of thought.
No, but he knows he has shot everything possible.
Well, and
There, yes, there are weird exceptions. Like in the US, we have that chair that turns upside down.
I've never seen that.
Yeah, there's a chair that rotates upside down, so most people aren't going to have a chance to do that before the match.
Right.
That would be something that he's never done before. But most things in average matches, he's seen all these things before, just put together in different ways.
And from a
And
self-image
that's part of the reason why it's only a 10-second walkthrough.
and more specifically from a self-image perspective, he knows he can do them
Yeah.
well.
Of course, because
That's the
he's
key.
done them a billion times before.
And won thousands of
Where
matches.
for me as a C-class shooter at the time, there were some kind of arrays I had never seen
This is
before.
new, this is new, this
Yeah.
is new. So you had no confidence in
Right.
doing.
Can we use the right term?
The
Self-image.
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 So I had no self-image for
Mhm.
those things because I'd never done it before.
She's using the right words. We're having a conversation. It's
But
amazing.
he had the self-image because he's done it before. Like the swinging plate,
And
that
been
was kind of a
successful.
new
That's the
thing.
key. Been
Yes.
successful.
Yes.
That's the key. We have thoughts of ability associated with success. All right. Is there anything? Oh, before we wrap it up, we have got Kita to open up a little bit on a podcast, which is very rare. Normally she sits quietly in the corner. Tell us about your favorite moments from this class, from this trip.
Well, one of my favorite moments was taking 3.5 seconds off for Gaz because he's already a good shooter, but he just changed over to PCC for the first time.
National champion. Let's add that.
Yes,
Okay.
he's a national champion, but he just switched to PCC. So showing him what the US guys are doing was really rewarding
Mhm.
because he just didn't know what he didn't know.
Right. So he comes to you for advice.
Right. So now he's taking off 3.5 seconds from a 19-round stage.
Right. Amazing.
That was very rewarding. There were a couple of other people. Eugene,
Oh,
that one
yes.
was a big one.
Yep.
He started at 15, 16, something like that, and went down to 10 seconds.
In 37 minutes.
Yeah, in a very short amount of time. Yeah, there are so many moments that were so great, it's hard to
I know.
pick them.
And to be honest, these are normal experiences for us.
Yes.
So what we're trying to do is take the excellence that we create every single time and find the best ones. My favorite one was Manette, who went from, I want to say 5.6 to 7.3 or something like that in 8 minutes.
Hit factor.
Hit factor. Yeah, absolutely fantastic. And again, one more time, if you want the best, most transformative shooting experience of your entire life, which encompasses technical pistol, technical move, PCC, of course, technical skills and mental skills at the same time, just email steve@andersonshooting.com or 180firearmstraining@gmail.com. But we need a commitment. We need 16 shooters and we need to pick a date. What we can't do is go back and forth for 6 months and say October, November, December. I have 3 guys. I have 4 guys. That's not going to work. We are promising you the most transformative experience you've ever had. Okay. We are promising you that. If I could find a way to do a money back guarantee where people couldn't take advantage of it, I would do it. But somebody's going to do it.
Obviously.
Right. If I could figure out a way, I would do it, but it's not possible because people are
Well, if you said, I'm going to take off at least 2 seconds from your stage or money back guaranteed, there are going to be some people that are purposely not going to let you
Mhm.
take 2 seconds. So
Right.
that's something we cannot offer.
Because people are going to take advantage of it.
Right.
Yeah. Because remember,
There are some people out there like that,
we're
believe it or not.
we're not Walmart. We're way better than
Right.
Walmart. All right. Do you ladies have anything else you'd like to add before we wrap
We
this
are
thing
Marshall
up?
Fields.
We're Marshall Fields. Yes. Anything else, Shanae?
No, I'm good.
Kita Busse? All right. Ladies, thank you very much for joining me. This has been a fantastic podcast. As always, the best podcast ever. Once again, the books are back in stock at andersonshooting.com. Do you think we can get international shipping sorted today?
Hats.
Your hats.
Your hats.
My hats. Oh, yes, I will have hats available featuring the logo that you see behind me. Those will be available on my website very soon. We'll get that done. Also, stickers will be available. And most importantly, let's get these classes going. Let's save you years of struggle. So until we meet again on the range, on the Zoom, on the podcast, on the phone, or anywhere else we might bump into each other, be like us.
Us.
Be like Bussy. Be like Ussy, hang out with Bussy, love you, bye, and get to work. This part's always awkward because I forget to stop the recording and get to work.